Hello everyone. This is the second part of the story, Marvel Unlimited Skills, I Can Download. Chapter 8, Assessment. 50 Level 3 and Level 4 agents with suits were lined up in a formation, standing straight with solemn expressions. Bruce was also in the formation. 2 Level 5 agents along with 1 Level 7 agent stood in front of the formation. Level 7 agents already belonged to the top of S.H.I.E.L.D. Bruce knew the Level 7 agent. His name was Shu Han丨 Wei, also known as Bloody Mantis. His fighting ability was at the top of his level. He was also the commander of the base. Bruce and company were under his command. Zoe was wearing a casual t-shirt. He was not strong or tall, but his body was emitting a powerful force. Today, we will be selecting 3 Level 5 agents and 10 Level 4s. Good luck to you, gentlemen. Begin. Zoe didn't say anything after that, announcing the beginning of the assessment immediately. The agent assessment was divided into 3 stages: shooting ability, physical strength, and fighting ability. The first one was shooting. 10 people were one group, with Bruce being in the last one. Everyone needed to shoot 10 times within the time limit. The rankings were decided based on the score. From the first 4 groups, Duke had the best result with 89. Without any preparation, he shot 10 times and managed to get an 89, a very good score. This score beat the world record by a mile. In the last group, Bruce and Bill were getting ready for their turn. Not far away, Duke looked at Bruce and made a cutthroat motion with his hands. He was provoking Bruce. However, Bruce did not respond, inwardly sneering. "Start," Frank announced. Bang, bang, bang. Bruce shot 10 times without any hesitation or pause. Elon 82 rings, Sam 79 rings, Bill 83 rings. Bruce 100 rings. Every agent was shocked. 10 shots, 100 rings. This was only possible for Level 6 or Level 7 agents. As for Bruce, he was just a Level 3 agent. How did he do it? Zoe looked up and glanced at Bruce. Duke and company changed their expressions. The second stage was the physical test. It was a distance run of 1 kilometer. There were still 10 people in a group. Bill stood beside Bruce and wanted to say something, but in the end, he held himself back. He felt that Bruce seemed different from usual. From the first 4 groups, the best result was still held down by Duke, with 1 minute and 40 seconds. If there was no accident, Duke was guaranteed to be promoted to a Level 5 agent. The last group was won again Bruce's. After the signal, they started. Bruce hid some of his strength this time around. He didn't want to show all of his skills. But even so, he still scored 1 minute and 20 seconds. It was 20 seconds faster than Duke's time. At this moment, every agent was shocked. Some were even doubting their eyes. Was Bruce hiding his strength before? God, 20 seconds faster than Duke. Is he still human? He will be promoted to a Level 5 agent directly. The Level 3 and Level 4 agents were shocked to their core. Still not believing what had just happened. However, Bruce was very calm. At this point, Zoe looked at Bruce with a smile. Strength was very eye-catching, no matter where you were. The final test is fighting, and you can choose your opponent freely. Frank's voice came and made all the agents feel shocked. This was the highlight of the assessment. No matter how you did in the previous 2 rounds, actual fighting strength was the most important part of the assessment. After Frank made the announcement, Duke stood up immediately. During this assessment, he was supposed to be the best. But Bruce made him lose his moment to shine and stole his spotlight. This made him very angry. He wasn't the only one angry, the other agents on his side were also furious. Duke, kill this monkey, let him see our strength. A Level 3 agent can't do what he did, he must be cheating. The shoutings of those agents made Duke even more indignant. Subsequently, Duke walked out. "Sir, Level 4 agent Kyle Duke asks to challenge Level 3 agent Bruce Lite." In the history of S.H.I.E.L.D., there were no precedents of senior agents challenging lower-level agents. But there was no rule that prohibited it. Bruce, Duke challenges you to a fight, do you accept it? Of course, you have the right to refuse. Frank asked. Frank had a good impression of Bruce, and he liked Bruce's silent character, which was vital to agents. Therefore, he said the words with a warning tone, not wanting to see Bruce get hurt. The battles between agents only ended with one dying or being crippled. However, Bruce just smiled. Refuse? If he refused, how would he become a level 5 agent? How would he leave the base to make money? How would he find Spider-Man? Besides, Duke was looking for death. Why not satisfy his wish? Bruce said without hesitation, "Sir, I accept." Chapter 9, Level 5. Bruce accepted Duke's challenge. Every agent present felt very surprised, including his best friend Bill. Frank narrowed his eyes. He had revealed his thoughts just now, yet Bruce still dared to accept. Which meant he probably had enough confidence. Okay, I allow it. Frank nodded. Duke and company sneered and looked at Bruce like a fool. Who was Duke? He was a top level 4 agent that could even be compared with level 5 agents. In their eyes, Bruce accepting the challenge was just looking for death. Duke, kill him. An agent shouted, with a strong killing intent in his eyes. Duke nodded. He cracked his knuckles and bone-cracking sounds emitted. All the agents stepped aside and made ample space for the fight. Bruce calmly looked at Duke. The distance between them was about 5 meters. All the agents were standing in a circle. Bill was very nervous for him. The friends he had in S.H.I.E.L.D. could be counted on one hand, and Bruce was one of them. Frank stood between Bruce and Duke. During the fight, daggers are allowed. But no guns. Anyone that violates the rules will be handled by me. Frank was not partial to anyone. You accepting my challenge surprised me, Bruce. But I will still kill you, ass-kisser. Duke smiled with strong killing intent exuding from him. Really? Bruce said leisurely. Very good. I respect your courage. Come, ass-kisser. Duke smiled. Every sentence ended with ass-kisser. Bruce was filled with killing intent. Just as he announced the beginning of the fight, Duke moved. He went directly for the dagger. In an instant, he appeared in front of Bruce. He lunged forwards with the dagger. If Bruce didn't dodge, the artery on his neck would be slashed and he would die in seconds. Everyone held their breath and waited for the result. Meanwhile, Bruce was standing completely still. Bill was shocked, why is he not moving? Zoe was watching the fight from the side and looked at Bruce. What will he do? Zoe thought. Duke also saw that Bruce had not moved. Duke sneered, slashing with his dagger even faster. Go to hell! Duke shouted. His speed was too fast, most people could only see his afterimage. At this time, Bruce moved. Without any additional action, he dodged backwards, avoiding Duke's attack. Just as Duke's attack missed, Bruce started his counterattack. With one hand, he grabbed Duke's right hand and with the other one, he controlled Duke's body. Then, with his terrifying strength, he broke his right hand. Ah! Duke screamed. Then, he was horrified to see the shining dagger that was supposed to pierce Bruce turn towards him. The dagger pierced into Duke's neck like cutting through tofu. Blood flowed out like a fountain, as Duke's body fell slowly, with his eyes wide open in surprise. Bruce walked back without a trace of blood on his body, looking unhurried, like he was taking a walk in the park. Simple, direct and deadly. Wearing a black suit, Bruce looked like a god of death at that moment. Every agent on the scene had their eyes wide open in shock. Including Bill and Frank. The battle ended in less than 3 seconds. A level 4 agent who had completed many missions had died, just like that. The agents that once insulted Bruce were all shivering and frightened. This kind of agent was too horrifying. Did he hide his strength before? Even Duke had been killed. Frank had still not come out of the shock. He thought that Bruce must have been hiding his strength before. At this time, a voice came. Bloody Mantis, Zoe, stepped out and clapped with a smile on his face. Everyone stood in place without breathing. Bruce Lite, right? You are amazing, Zoe said. Bruce nodded, without any words. Looking at this, Zoe was pleased. An elite agent needed to have this quality. Zoe glanced at every agent present, his eyes as sharp as a knife. I announce that starting today, Bruce is officially promoted to a level 5 agent. The assessment was not over yet, but Zoe had officially appointed Bruce. Hearing this, every agent was surprised. Every level 5 agent was valued very highly, and had immense privileges. They were the real backbone of S.H.I.E.L.D. Just then, Bruce's eyes shone like gems. Zoe, a level 7 agent, had extraordinary fighting skills. Chapter 10, Spider. Going by the Marvel movies, Bruce considered Black Widow and Captain America two of the best fighters in the Marvel world. Whether it be karate, judo, or mixed martial arts, Black Widow's skills were top-notch in every way. As for Captain America, his main skill was his durability in fights. No matter how strong his opponent, he could always take it up the distance. But both of them had not exceeded the human limit yet. Because of their bodies limiting them, they were only considered ordinary compared with the many other superheroes. But in terms of fighting, they were top-notch. Unfortunately, with Bruce's current identity, he could not even meet the two, let alone download their skills. So, Zoe was currently his best choice. Then, Bruce put his hand forth and said, "Thank you for your recognition, sir." Looking at Bruce's hand, Zoe smiled, "You deserve it." Identity, level 7 agent. Skill, top-level fighting technique, 200 MB, proficiency in firearms, 200 MB, covert tracking, 100 MB, assassination technique, 200 MB. Bruce chose the top-level fighting technique. Even though he also wanted the assassination technique, there was not enough time to download both. To him, the top-level fighting technique was more useful in his current state. Beep, connection successful. Beep, prerequisite intermediate-level fighting technique met, reducing skill top-level fighting technique size to 100 megabits. Beep, the current speed is 500 kb per second, valid within 2 meters. Sure enough, as his strength increased, his download speed also increased. Based on the current speed, the download would finish in 3.5 minutes. To prevent an accident from happening, Bruce spent $1,000 to speed up the download by 10 times. Now, the download would finish in 20 seconds. "Bruce, go get your ID card, you don't need to take the next test," Zoe said. After saying that, Zoe was ready to leave. Because of Bruce, he was not interested in watching the next fight. "Thank you, sir." Bruce responded with a smile. Beep, download complete. Beep, congratulations, you've obtained the skill top-level fighting technique. Zoe had just turned around when Bruce's download finished. Afterwards, Bruce looked at Frank. "Congratulations, Bruce, you are now a level 5 agent." Because of the promotion, Frank's tone was now very friendly. As for the other agents, they were all looking at Bruce in awe. "Thank you very much, Frank, remember to take care of Bill for me," he said, looking towards Bill. "Of course," Frank replied. As for the dead Duke, nobody cared about him. Becoming a level 5 agent was only the beginning of the plan. After leaving, Bruce went directly to the logistics department to get his card and some equipment. Afterwards, he went to his dorm room. Level 5 agents had their own houses and offices, their status had greatly improved. On the way back, Bruce checked the system panel. Identity, level 5 agent. Skill, marksman, super speed, top-level fighting technique, proficiency in firearms, covert tracking. If he counted the marksman and super speed skills that he obtained from Hawkeye, his current strength could be compared to level 8 agents. But that was not enough to be compared to Hawkeye. Unfortunately, last time he didn't have time to download Hawkeye's supervision skill. But at the time, he could only choose 2 skills to download. He had done his best, it was no use to regret it now. According to the plot, Odin should be throwing out Thor and his hammer very soon. Thor and his hammer were both extremely powerful. After all, Thor was a god in Norse mythology. But the more powerful the skill, the more data there was to be downloaded. Even if he met Thor now, he couldn't download his skills yet. Besides, he was not at the level to know the top secrets of S.H.I.E.L.D. He had no way to get that information yet. So, this was not the most important thing at the moment. This was the safest goal for him. If he could complete his goal, he could go beyond humanity. Even if he was facing more powerful opponents in the future, he would easily be able to cope with them. After determining his goal, he walked into his office. Then opened his laptop and inputted a few words. Midtown High, Peter Parker. Fortunately, he had access. He soon found the relevant information. Peter Parker, first year of high school. Parents, unknown. Seeing this, a smile appeared on Bruce's face. That's what he was looking for. Chapter 11, Implementing. Bruce had once tried to guess who the parents of Spider-Man were. According to the plot of The Amazing Spider-Man, his parents should be expert biological scientists, with spiders as their subject. But this was the Marvel Universe, anything could change. Just like the Avengers base being built before the Avengers had even formed. The main story would not change, but the minor things would need to be verified by Bruce. Now, the most important thing was to leave the base and find Spider-Man. How can I get close to Spider-Man? Bruce pondered. First, he needed a suitable identity and an opportunity. S.H.I.E.L.D., Spider-Man. He shut down the computer and kept thinking. Well, I'll just take things as they come. Bruce smiled. Then, he walked out of the office and went to the gate of the base. Now that he was a level 5 agent, he could leave the base at will. But, if he didn't have permission from his superiors, he could not leave the base for more than 12 hours. 12 hours was plenty of time for him though. But, just to be sure, he chose to sneak out of the base, which took him a whole hour. Half an hour later, he came to a town 10 kilometers away from the base. By now, the sky was dark and there were few people on the street. Bruce walked up to a telephone booth and took out a black box which could block his signal from being traced. After putting a coin in, he dialed S.H.I.E.L.D.'s phone. Bruce heard someone say in a low tone. Any call to S.H.I.E.L.D. would get severely monitored and traced back to the caller's location. With the black box in hand, he only had 10 seconds. Any more than that, and S.H.I.E.L.D. would locate where he was. He wasted no time as he made his voice sound old, and said, Hydra, target, Midtown High School, Peter Parker. Then, Bruce hung up and left the place quickly. He proceeded to wipe out all traces that could lead to him, and returned to the Avengers base quickly. In the Avengers base, dozens of agents were meeting in a room. What's the situation now? Who made that call? Someone asked. He was very cautious. We can't track him, another agent who sat in front of a computer replied. Forget about that, I want to know more about the information he provided, Midtown High School, Peter Parker. A level 7 agent said seriously. He was an executive of S.H.I.E.L.D., so he knew a little bit about Peter Parker. Soon after, he left the room. He had to report this to his superiors. Coulson's office, Avengers base. Ring, the phone rang. Coulson picked up soon after. The words from the phone made his face change quickly. Damn it! Level 7 agents and above, come to the meeting room. Coulson was not a level 10 agent yet, but he was the chief assistant of the S.H.I.E.L.D. director. Soon after, multiple senior agents were coming to his office successively. When Coulson called the meeting, Bruce had already returned to the base. In the enclosed meeting room, Coulson sat in the center, with more than 20 level 7 or above agents, in an oppressive atmosphere. The lights were flickering, but everyone was sitting straight with serious expressions on their faces. A level 7 agent in S.H.I.E.L.D. was counted as an elite. We received information that Hydra will be taking Peter Parker, Coulson spoke first. Some agents were slightly confused. After all, Not everyone knew who Peter Parker was. Coulson noticed their reactions and added, "He is Richard Parker's son." This time, those agents all nodded and suddenly understood. Surely, they all knew who Richard Parker was. Why will Hydra catch him? Where is the information from and is it accurate? A level 7 agent asked. This is not the main point, you need to understand that Peter Parker is the only son of Richard, Coulson said. Our human resources are not enough as it is. The green monster and the falling event have caused us to lose many people. A level 7 agent explained. The event about the green monster has ended. As for the falling event, I will deal with it personally. Now, I need people to protect Peter. Coulson gave the order directly, leaving no room for discussion. We're dealing with Hydra, which means we need at least level 6 or level 7 agents to ensure the child's safety. But now, every level 6 agent and above has tasks. We really don't have the people to take this mission, someone said. After all, there were too many events recently. I have a candidate, he is just a level 5 agent, but protecting a high school student shouldn't be a problem. The man speaking was Zoe, also known as Bloody Mantis. Chapter 12, Plan. Everyone present was looking at Zoe, and Coulson frowned slightly. Zoe, a level 5 agent? Are you sure he can cope with Hydra? An agent asked. Every agent nodded. Hydra was a powerful and mysterious organization that could even compare itself with S.H.I.E.L.D. Coulson didn't say anything, he was waiting for Zoe to continue. Zoe glanced at every agent present with a smile and begun. This level 5 agent is unusual, his strength and talent are the best I have ever seen. These words surprised everyone. Zoe was a proud man, he never spoke highly of anyone without being sure of himself. Tell me about him. Coulson was interested in the agent that could make Zoe speak so highly of himself and motioned for him to continue. His name is Bruce Lite, a level 5 agent with a clean background, Zoe said. When Coulson heard the name, a hint of doubt appeared on his face. I remember him, he was a level 3 agent, right? Coulson responded. Zoe nodded and then spoke of Bruce's performance on the agent assessment. He had spoken highly of Bruce's shooting ability, physical fitness, and fighting skills. After hearing that, every agent nodded. Perhaps such a man could even be promoted to a level 6 agent. I'm pleased with your suggestion. But we can't reveal even a bit of information about Richard Parker. Besides, the source of the call must be investigated clearly. Coulson gave an order. Copy that. Besides Bruce, I'll send other agents to assist him, Zoe replied. After making the decision, everyone left. At the same time, Bruce had returned to the dorm with a pondering expression on his face. According to the identity of Richard Parker, S.H.I.E.L.D. would have to send someone to protect Peter. And there had been too many recent events requiring S.H.I.E.L.D.'s attention. They won't call senior agents to protect Peter, they were more likely to choose a level 5 agent. With Zoe's status, he was sure to attend the meeting. And with Bruce's good performance on the agent assessment tests and Zoe's good impression of him, Zoe would probably recommend him. Yes, Bruce had thought of this long before he implemented the plan. This was his best way to get close to Peter Parker. Even with all his planning, his plan still involved a bit of luck. Just as Bruce was thinking, there was a knock on the door. In the next moment, he narrowed his eyes slightly. Bruce opened the door without hesitation. Good evening, Mr. Zoe, Bruce said with a smile. Zoe smiled back, and then entered the room. How about it, Bruce, still getting used to your new level 5 agent life? Zoe smiled. Thank you, sir. I am okay, Bruce nodded, then he looked up and asked, Sir, you came so late, is there something you need? I like to chat with smart people like you. Zoe looked at Bruce and laughed loudly. I have a task, do you want it? Zoe's tone was very solemn. Hearing these words, Bruce was secretly happy, but he nodded in a serious manner. Of course, sir, Bruce replied immediately. Zoe smiled and took out a picture of Peter Parker. This is a top-secret mission. Your task is to protect him for a month, don't allow any accidents to happen. Sure enough, the task fell on him. which meant that his plan was successful. Copy that, Bruce said without hesitation. Such a decisive decision made Zoe think more highly of him. He liked this kind of subordinate, strong execution and few problems. When the task is done, I will reward you with $100,000 and give you a chance to be promoted to a level 6 agent. Grasp the opportunity, young man. Copy that, sir, thank you very much. Bruce put the picture away. This time, your identity, background, and general information have been set up for you. If you are in trouble, you can show your identity. We are S.H.I.E.L.D., neither the army nor the police will dare to make trouble for you. Set out tomorrow morning. Copy that, sir, Bruce replied. After getting Bruce's answer, Zoe left. Bruce stood alone in the room with a smile. With the first plan's success, he could start his second plan as soon as he leaves the base. As Zoe said, he was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. At the Avengers base, he was still considered as a low-level agent. But in the eyes of the military and police, he was a big shot. Early the next morning, he left his room and went to the logistics department. After collecting all the papers and weapons, Bruce set off. He finally left the base. Chapter 13, High School and a Teacher. Bruce was walking on the streets in a black suit. This street was very lively. It had a variety of shopping malls and vehicles, making it look very prosperous. According to the map, he was one street away from Midtown High School. What a joke! My identity is a high school teacher. I never even graduated from high school. Luckily, he was a PE teacher. If it was math or chemistry, it'd be better to just kill him. It would make him go crazy. He would rather face Thanos. While he was complaining, eventually, he found the school. After passing the doorkeeper of the school, he met the dean. Welcome, Mr. Bruce. Because we don't have enough PE teachers, you will have more classes than usual. Sorry for troubling you. The dean looked like an ordinary middle-aged man that you would see on the streets. I will do well, sir, Bruce replied. Afterwards, the dean and Bruce went through the formalities, and soon after, Bruce went from an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. to a teacher. After completing everything, Bruce went to his office. He was supposed to work here for a whole month. I am not here to be a teacher. Looking at the computer, Bruce gave up on writing lesson plans. He looked up some lesson plans from the internet and copy and pasted them directly. End of work. Being a teacher was too easy. He gave the courses to the class teacher of each class. After finishing that, Bruce began searching for Peter Parker's class. Every teacher's computer had information about the students, as did Bruce's. Soon, he found the information about Peter Parker. What a young boy. Bruce smiled. Then, he looked at Parker's performance at school. In terms of grades, Parker was a good student, but the problem was that he was withdrawn and unsociable. He seems to have not been bitten by the spider yet. In about an hour, Bruce thoroughly learnt the information on Peter Parker, and he confirmed that Parker had no special abilities right now. This is your class schedule, Mr. Bruce. While Bruce was thinking about Peter, a female teacher came up to him from behind with a document. It was the latest class schedule. He glanced at the document, wanting to know when he would have his first class with Peter. Well, our first lesson is in the afternoon. Bruce looked at the class schedule and was pleasantly surprised. The sooner he met Peter, the better it would be for him. After all, Spider-Man was just one part of his plans, he had other things to do. And he was not sure when Peter would be bitten by the spider. Perhaps, it would take a long time. Maybe a month, or 2, 3. During this free time, he was going to improve his strength to a new level. Besides, he still needed to make money like crazy. Time passed quickly. After lunch, it was time for Bruce's lesson. PE class was easy, it was just basketball, rugby and other sports. He only needed to give them some simple guidance. Dozens of students lined up on the playground, waiting for their teachers. Did you hear that we have a new PE teacher? Really? I'm afraid this teacher won't even last half a month. Today is his first day, let's teach him a lesson. Several boys stood together with fierce expressions on their faces. This was school life. For new teachers, it wasn't always friendly. Bruce wore black sportswear and slowly moved from the school to the playground. Bruce sighed. If it weren't for Parker, he would not have come here. Then he glanced at the students of his class and narrowed his eyes slightly, seemingly looking for someone. Sure enough, Bruce saw a thin, shy boy in the crowd with bruises on his face. It seems he is bullied even in this universe. Hey, are you our new PE teacher? At that moment, a voice came and woke Bruce, who was spacing out. You are so thin, how did you become our PE teacher? Yeah, I doubt you could catch a basketball. When Bruce looked back, voices came one by one. Yes, I am your PE teacher. From now on, you must listen to my commands, said Bruce, making the boys laugh loudly. The girls looked at Bruce curiously, saying nothing. Your commands? Even the headmaster cannot command us. In PE class, we are free to do whatever we want, do you understand? Go away, do not interfere with us, a tall boy said, pointing at Bruce. Bruce knew without even thinking that these boys wanted to have him replaced. Bruce flashed a smile. He liked young men like them. If they were too obedient, it would be tedious. Hey, I'm talking to you. Are you deaf? The tall boy saw that Bruce was not replying to him and got angry. He had never been so humiliated. Then, he rushed towards Bruce like a truck. Chapter 14, Teaching. The new PE teacher angered Kid. There's gonna be a good show. Kid is in Eugene's gang after all. He probably told Kid to do this. Kid is a taekwondo master. I wonder if the new teacher can take a punch. The students present gathered to watch the tall student named Kid deal with the new teacher. Bruce just looked at Kid, not responding. Are you deaf? Did you hear what I just said? Kid pointed at Bruce, full of anger. All the students thought this was interesting. Especially Eugene's group, they were laughing loudly. But Bruce didn't even lift an eyelid. After all, Kid was just a student. How good could he be? Anger overcame Kid when he saw Bruce's indifferent expression. Without thinking, he threw a punch. He was fast, and his tall body gave him tremendous strength. Some girl students were worried, for they knew how fierce Kid was. While some students even closed their eyes, not bearing to see what was going to happen. However, in an instant, Bruce moved. He was so quick, almost turning into a shadow, he grabbed Kid's arm directly. Kid screamed. His arm fell to his side, lifeless. My arm! Ow! Kid shouted out. He was dripping cold sweat from the pain and could not help but fall to his knees. The students present were all shocked, for none of them knew how Bruce did that. They were merely students, and Bruce was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Bruce, with a smile, stood in front of Kid and said, I enjoyed your deliberate provocation, but this kind of action needs punishment. Poor Kid looked terrified when he heard what Bruce said. He looked at Bruce, who was smiling at him and coming towards him. Stop! What do you want? Kid shouted. And in just a moment, his other hand was caught by Bruce, who was still smiling. With that sound, Kid's other arm was broken as well. I thought you were made from iron, turns out you are just trash. Bruce shook his head, seemingly not pleased with that. Then he looked at the students in front. Each of them took a step back, especially Eugene, whose eyes were still wide open, not quite believing what he was seeing. Kid was the strongest one in their gang. He even ranked among the top in the whole Midtown Middle School. But both of his arms got broken in just a few seconds by Bruce. You dare to attack the students. If something happens to Kid, we will sue you, a student said, looking pale with fear. I just dislocated his arm. And what did you say just now? Sue me. Bruce looked at the student with an indifferent expression. His eyes were as cold as ice and made the student feel like he fell into an iceberg, even if it was summer now. At this point, all the students were too frightened to speak. If you want to sue me, please, do. This job means nothing to me. But, my students, I know the home address of everyone here. So you ought to think it through. Bruce wasn't just scaring them. He really didn't care at all. He was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Even some senior officials could do nothing to him. Not to mention these students. Besides, he was not here to be a teacher. Hearing this, every student present stared at Bruce with disbelief. It was definitely a threat. And it was the first time that they were threatened by a teacher. You dare? You are breaking the law, a student whispered, still trying to go against Bruce. Bruce looked at the student with a smile and spoke to him, "You, come out." The student's brain went blank and his body trembled. In his view, though Bruce was smiling, he was just like a demon to him. The other students could do nothing but turn pale with terror. Bruce has dislocated Kid's arms. Was it not enough? Did you hear me? Bruce said again. The student came out, trembling. You'll be all right. It's not painful at all. Bruce's smile showed his white teeth, looking like a man-eating monster. Then, he twisted the student's arm, before the student cried out in pain. The student's arm was also dislocated. He collapsed to his knees from the pain which brought sweat out of his forehead. Now, every student present felt that the new teacher was dangerous. He had no care about anything. I hope my students will be as meek as lambs. It's the only way that we can build a harmonious relationship between us, isn't it? Bruce disregarded the student and kid who were rolling on the ground, and spoke to the others. All the students shuddered and nodded their heads in terror. The most effective way to solve a problem, no matter where it was by force. It was so easy to be a teacher. Good. From today on, I am your PE teacher. If you have any problems, you can complain to the headmaster at will. But, don't forget what I have said, everything has a price. And anyone will pay it, whoever they may be, understand? Bruce looked sharp as a knife, and he was exuding a dangerous aura from his eyes. Some of the students got goosebumps from the way Bruce was looking at them, akin to a beast staring at its prey. They were grade 10 students, just a group of children, they had never faced such a situation. After his speech, Bruce ordered the others to send the two boys to the school clinic, and then casually found a place to sit down. For disobedient students, it ought to be like this. He had no mind to maintain the teacher-student relationship. It was not necessary. Ring, ring. At this time, his cell phone rang. He took out his phone and saw a secret message. It was from S.H.I.E.L.D. The message told him that S.H.I.E.L.D. had already arranged a car and prepared some necessities for him. And the logistics department had arranged a residence for him. The address was also in the message. Not much money left, it's time to make some money. Soon after, the PE class was over. All the students fled as fast as they could. And Bruce went to the residence provided by S.H.I.E.L.D. Chapter 15, Level 7. A room in Queens, New York was luxuriously decorated and furnished. Bruce opened the laptop, a complicated topographic map was on it. A red dot flashed from time to time and was moving constantly. This red dot showed the location of Spider-Man, Peter Parker. This afternoon, Bruce put a tracking device on little Spider-Man without anyone noticing. After confirming that little Spider-Man had safely returned home, Bruce closed the tab. For now, little Spider-Man was just an ordinary person, and Bruce could not download any skills from him. And Bruce was not sure when little Spider-Man would be bitten. The time required may be very long, time which he didn't have. So, he had to carry out his other plan. Next, he opened another tab. It was the reward page of S.H.I.E.L.D., which had warrants on dangerous wanted men, of course, that was just for ordinary people. The ordinary wanted men don't have a big reward on them and they have no skills yet. I not only need to make a lot of money, but I also need to download skills while doing it, so that I can steadily improve my strength. In this moment, Bruce was very calm. His thinking was clear and he knew what he wanted. He couldn't just keep watch on Peter all the time. Sitting back and waiting was the dumbest way to go about it. Chris Mike, a level 7 warrant, once inhaled a special substance in an experiment, and has a remarkable fight skill. Eventually, Bruce found an interesting person in the reward pages. Mike had committed a lot of crimes. His last one was robbing a bank and escaping from a police roundup. After that, the police handed it over to S.H.I.E.L.D. And S.H.I.E.L.D. directly listed him as a level 7 warrant, the equivalent of a level 7 agent. In the Marvel universe, anyone who can escape from an experiment will surely get special skills, and Mike must one of those. Bruce thought with a smile on his face. In the warrant, S.H.I.E.L.D. had provided information on where Mike was often spotted and other relative information. S.H.I.E.L.D's probably too busy with the recent events to deal with him, that's why he's still available. And so, Mike had become Bruce's first target. Moreover, his reward was $300,000. Bruce began looking over Mike's information, trying to figure out where he might head to next. After finishing everything, Bruce put on a black suit with a pair of black sunglasses. He thought of 3 places he might go and intended to find Mike within a day. Then, Bruce left the room and set off. There were various people gathering under the dim lights. That was the nightlife of America. At the bar, there were 3 or 4 bartenders right now. A 2-meter-tall white man, with a rough face and a black leather coat came up to them. "Whiskey," the man said. He took off his sunglasses and squinted his eyes a bit. "Hey, Mike, how come you're here today?" A bartender said, pouring him his whiskey. The man ignored the bartender, and his eyes continued to look around. Tonight, he constantly felt a little uneasy and it seemed like danger would come. The sounds around did not affect him at all. Taking the whiskey, he drank it all. S.H.I.E.L.D. should have no time to deal with me. "No, for safety, it is better to leave New York tomorrow," the man muttered to himself. The only reason he dared to stay in New York was because he knew that S.H.I.E.L.D. was preoccupied with other matters and had no senior agents left to track him down. The police was nothing in his eyes, but there were many things he had to be careful of except the police, especially S.H.I.E.L.D. After drinking another glass, he glanced at the dance floor. In an instant, a man in a suit appeared in his eyes. He suddenly felt a trace of panic. Without hesitation, he immediately got up and left the bar after putting down some money. Sure enough, the man he saw was Bruce. When he glanced at Bruce, Bruce also noticed him. And while he was getting up, Bruce saw his panic. He looks a little different, but that is surely him. Watching the man's back as he hurried away, Bruce smiled. Lucky, it only took me 3 hours to find him. Then, Bruce also left, tracking the man. Soon after, the man came to a dark street. He walked quickly and kept his head down. Who is he, S.H.I.E.L.D.? Impossible. Mike felt a little panicked. He had hidden for a long time, he didn't expect to be found today. Then, he decided that he had to leave New York tonight. The world was so big, and S.H.I.E.L.D. agents could not cover the whole world. Perhaps, he could join HYDRA, then he wouldn't need to be so worried. "Mr. Chris, where do you want to go in such a hurry?" At this moment, a clear voice sounded out and Mike's face changed. At the end of the street, a man in a suit was leaning against the wall, with his hands across his chest. "Are you from S.H.I.E.L.D.?" Mike asked. He stood in place, looking at the man in front of him with killing intent. "It's not important who I am, the important thing is that your life as a free man ends today." Bruce looked at Mike, walking towards him with a friendly smile on his face. Mike looked around and found that only Bruce was here. In an instant, he breathed a sigh of relief. Then, he took out a dagger, looking ferocious. Just as he spoke, he charged at Bruce, his body leaving afterimages. In an instant, he flashed in front of Bruce. Bruce was shocked, he didn't expect Mike to be so fast. Even while he was shocked, he threw 5 flying knives towards Mike without hesitation. The air made a tearing sound, and then the flying knives directly hit Mike. This marks the end of part 2 of the story Marvel Unlimited Skills. I can download. Thank you for listening. Please like the video and hit the subscribe button to listen more. Hit the bell icon to get notified of all the new content uploaded to the channel ASAP.